Welcome to Late Night Crow. I will be consistently uploading horror stories on this channel, so feel free to subscribe and support me, as these videos do take some time and effort to make. Now get cozy, grab your snacks, and enjoy. For this story, I'd like to keep my name confidential. I'm 24 years old today. I grew up in a rough neighborhood. To be honest, I dropped out of school and made some mates along the way. We always liked hanging around late at night in the forest, smoking weed and doing typical teenager stuff. There was always three of us, Brock, Rory, and myself. One night, we got kind of bored, but then Brock told us about him finding an abandoned building on his way driving to do grocery shopping the other day. I was kind of skeptical about it, as I've never really been to an abandoned building before, but Rory seemed excited like a little child. So Brock asked us if we're down to go. I wasn't too sure, but I didn't want to seem like a wimp, so I ended up saying yes. We all got up, packed up our things, and put the fire out in the place we usually hanged out at. Brock stated that it would be a 15-minute walk from where we were. Rory then followed with, "Do we still have any weed left?" I still had about 2 smokes on me. Brock says, "I've still got plenty to last us all night. We could maybe do a 24-hour challenge at this place." I thought to myself, yeah, right. We've got no food or water with us at all apart from some weed, and our phones would definitely be dead by then. The rest of the walk there, we walked in silence. Brock had 1 joint already rolled, and we was smoking it on the way, passing it to each other. I pulled out my phone and checked the time. It was 12:32 midnight. It was quite windy, crickets chirping, trees swaying, and all I could hear is the gravel beneath our feet as we walked due to the silence. At that point, I thought to myself, what the hell are we even doing out here this late? We should be heading home by now. By the time we finished smoking, we have arrived at the place. It was massive, windows shattered. The doors were practically hanging on for dear life. The whole place looked like something genuinely out of a horror movie. It was all mainly wooden too. I could hear the wind whistling through the whole building. I was kind of creeped out. You know when you get that feeling when you know you shouldn't be somewhere? Yeah, that's exactly what I was feeling at that moment. Brock then breaks the silence and follows up with, "So, shall we enter the House of Terror?" Me and Rory just look at each other with a deadpan straight face. Brock then says, "Come on, quit standing there and let's have some fun." Brock enters first. As he opens the doors, all you could hear is the echo from opening them throughout the whole building. It was pitch black. We turned our phones' flashlights on. There was just dust floating all over the air, old furniture scattered all over the place, satanic graffiti on the walls. The place was scarier than I expected. Now I know the worst thing you can do in a place like this is split up. That's how people die in horror movies. But we didn't think much of it. We kinda just went our own ways and explored the house room by room. I walked into a room, and I saw what looked like bloodstains covered across the floor. But I thought it was just paint or most likely graffiti, as the whole house was covered in it. The place looked ransacked, even though I doubt there was anything worth taking. I walked room to room until Brock and Rory shouts for me, saying, "Hey, get over here." We found something. I was quite curious, so I went towards where their voice came from. Then from around the corner, Brock and Rory jump out wearing what looked like Michael Myers' cheap knockoff masks. I got scared and I said, "Very funny, you got me." They said they found it in a basement. Now I haven't seen the basement. I'm assuming I must have missed it. They then proceeded to lead me to it. We walked down the steep stairs, creaking with every step, in pitch black with the only light source coming from our phones. And it was packed with those masks. I thought to myself, why the hell would there be so many of them? And there were all sorts of different serial killer ones too, even ones I have never seen before. Brock then says, "Hey, take a picture of me. Rory decided to get in the picture with him. So I opened my camera and took a photo. As soon as I took the photo, all of a sudden we heard rattling upstairs like a can being kicked, and then continued with what sounded like heavy footsteps. Brock and Rory looked at me with wide eyes. I put my finger to my lips and whispered, "Do not make a single sound." We turned our flashlights off and we stood there for what felt like an eternity. The noises didn't stop. The walking kept carrying on. We wasn't certain how many people were upstairs, so we kept waiting. I then quickly turned my phone on to check the time. It was 2:35 in the morning. I whispered, "Shit, we gotta get home." Rory and Brock shook their heads. And Brock says, "Dude, we can't go upstairs. There's still someone up there." I then whispered, "Well, we can't be here all night. We gotta get out of here eventually." We then came up with an idea to make a run for it once it gets quiet. Brock and Rory shook their heads in agreement. We waited about 20 minutes, and then it got silent. That was our chance, I thought to myself. I put my fingers up, counting from 3, 2, 1. We then bolted it up the stairs. As we got up the stairs, we saw candles around a satanic pentagram on the ground, and what looked like a dead animal in the middle of the pentagram. I knew this was a sacrifice instantly. I whispered in fear and disbelief, "Dude, let's get the hell out of here right now." We started running towards the front doors, and then a deep, raspy voice shouts from the distance, "What the hell are you doing in my house?" I looked behind as I'm still sprinting, and he starts running towards us with a blood-covered axe, wearing the same Michael Myers mask. As we all made it out the front door, we saw a black bag, what looked like a body inside of it. We kept running, and all we could hear is psychotic laughter and screaming. "Don't ever come back here, do you understand me?" Eventually, we made it on the main road, and we waved down by passing cars in hopes to get a lift. Brock and Rory were shaken up and haven't said a word since we were in the basement. Luckily, a trucker stopped and told us to hop in. He asked if we were okay. I nodded yes and told him what happened. He then followed with, "Yeah, that place is known for kids going missing and crime happening all the time." I got chills all over and thanked him for picking us up. He then asked if we were smoking, as the whole truck smelt of weed. We said yeah, and the trucker says, "Well, I'll be damned. Reminds me of myself when I was your guys' age," and proceeds with a laugh. It was kind of weird to me in the moment as to why he isn't taking any of this seriously, but I assumed he thought the worst hasn't happened, so it must have been fine with him. We drove for about 10 minutes till we passed by a supermarket we're familiar with that's local to our home, and we took our stop. We all thanked the trucker, and he says, "You kids take care, all right? Get home safe and take this as a lesson." I nodded, and the trucker drives off. Brock and Rory then fist bumped me and told me they will message me on the group chat when they get home. Brock and Rory are basically neighbors, so they walked home together, and I walked by myself. I told them I'll speak to them soon, and we went on our way. I got home in about 5 minutes. Luckily, the front door was still open, everyone was asleep. I quietly made my way upstairs and got into bed. Not long after, I got a message in the group chat from Brock and Rory saying they got home safe. We all agreed on not telling our parents and to stop hanging out at that forest. And that was the end of it. We ended up meeting at parks and staying in local areas due to our experience. It still scares me to this day thinking of what could have happened if we waited just a bit longer. What if there was more people coming, doing God knows what? I'm just thankful we made it out safely in the end. Thank you for listening to my story. If you hang around with friends and smoke weed, especially at night times, make sure you do it in safe, well-lit places because you never know what could happen. Goodbye, and stay safe.